Hey guys, LootWizard here with another video on Gems of War. I know it's been a few days, but here we are again. It's a new week. We have new troops in the Soulforge and all that good stuff. New event, raid boss event going on. We have a new troop here in the Glory Shop, and so we're going to go ahead and take a look at everything going on. For right now, let's go to the Soulforge, and we don't have any weapons worth crafting here in the Soulforge this week. Nature Staff is pretty weak. Amber weapon here is for the raid boss event, so we can get this over in that shop for gems instead of diamonds. And then if we scroll down, Iron Wave is the other weapon for merfolk, because the event kingdom this week is for Merlantis. And there's a lot of merfolk troops in that kingdom. So this is one of those mana generating weapons for those types of troops. I don't really recommend crafting it because there really is no amazing synergy with this weapon with very many of the troops that are merfolk. Most of the merfolk troops aren't as powerful as some of the other ones in the game, so I would pass on that weapon. Moving on to troops, let's do the summoning stones, and then we'll move right into the legendaries and mythics. So for the blue summoning stones, we're going to take a look, see what's in here. I think Tyron and Rex is an event troop. It is. So this is for next time Drifting Sands comes around. This is going to be or the raid boss event for Drifting Sands. This troop is going to be useful for that. Nothing else here. Green Day, nothing really good here either. For Red Day, well, we have Azirus. So Azirus is one of those troops that I do recommend using summoning stones on if you do not have it yet, because it's a good soul troop. As you can see here, you do gain 50% bonus souls from battle when you do use it. It has an incredibly low mana cost of 6. Plus, it has magic link, so you're going to get a bonus to purple. And then you also, in its ability, have a chance to gain all of your mana back if there are 13 or more purple gems on the board. And the usefulness of its ability is kind of underrated by a lot of gems players, I think. Transform a selected mana gem into a skull. So you can imagine a lot of times there are skulls that fall down on the board that are just like one gem separates them from being a 3 match, and so you can basically create your own 3 or possibly 4 matches with skulls with this troop very easily. And with a weapon like Mang, which eliminates all armor from an enemy troop and converts it into its attack damage, that combination of using Azirus with Mang is really a good combination. So recommend trying to get that if you don't have it. And if you do have the summoning stones here, red ones, to take a chance at that. Now for yellow summoning stones, let's take a look here. We got Wandering Monk, Sand Runner. I mean, these are all really early troops that you probably already have. Nothing that's more rare. Same thing here for Purple Day. Brown summoning stones. Yeah, there's really nothing here that I would recommend trying to get. So really it's just Red Day here, red summoning stones for Azirus. That's probably the only troop I'm going to recommend to try to get out of the summoning stones. So then moving on to legendaries, we have the Summer Imp. So if you are in the group of people that are trying to collect these imps, then now is the time to try to craft it. Although I don't use imps that often. This one, however, to take note of, there's 3 colors that work really well with the Mythic troop, Shabanu Vespera. So yellow, purple, and blue imps do work pretty good with that Mythic troop. And this is yellow, so this troop may be something you want to consider if you like to use that Mythic a lot. Infernal King is a legendary troop. I don't think that it's worth crafting at all. It's kind of subpar as a legendary troop. It does convert green gems to skulls, brown gems to red, a little bit of scatter damage. It has a 25% chance to resurrect, but that doesn't seem to proc that often when I use it. However, when you're in pet battles, It seems like that's more of like a 75% chance. Kind of annoying, but I don't find myself using this troop or finding really any good skull conversion troops that are good combinations with it. I don't know. Maybe there is something and I just haven't found it yet. But I don't see a lot of people use it either. This bunny nog, I just don't think this is worth crafting either. It's pretty low on my list as far as legendary troops go. So we're going to skip over some mythics right now and just talk about this the fourth last legendary troop that can be crafted this week. Tinson Tail is a dragon troop. Legendary troop. It is pretty good as a legendary troop, although I'm not going to recommend to craft it because if you're going to craft legendary troops, there's a couple of them, like the Dragon Soul and Divinia maybe, Gorgotha maybe. There's a couple of them like that I would say if you don't have them and you're really having a hard time getting them in keys, to go ahead and craft those. But that being said, this is still, if you do get this in keys, it's a pretty good legendary troop. It will give all allies 4 magic, and then it has a 50% chance for each of the following, which means all 3 of these things can happen if all of them proc in that 50% chance. It will deal damage to all enemies. It'll explode 8 random gems or give all allies life. Also, in its traits, it will fairy fire a random enemy when matching green gems, which is kind of a passive ability that can still be useful even if you don't find the ability here useful, because fairy fire will any enemy troop that has fairy fire will take 50% more spell damage, so that's really good. Mana shield is amazing, immunity to mana drain and mana steal, so pretty good legendary troop there. Now let's cover the mythic troops right away here. You already saw like all of them, but Euryali as a standalone mythic troop, it's pretty low on my tier list, but there is one thing about it which makes it incredibly useful for farming metals, and that is its traits. It will poison all enemies on a 4 or 5 gem match. So that right there is very useful with the other mythic troop called Scorpius, which will allow you to do lethal damage to any enemy troop that does have the poison status effect. So this troop, Euryali, combined with Scorpius, is a really great, easy way to do level 12 explore battles. And I'll show you a team that's pretty common team with that combination here in a few minutes. Then moving on to Voice of Orpheus. It's really is a decent support troop, but I don't think that it's worth crafting over many of the other much better damage mythic troops. I would only craft this as something much later because there's quite a few good legendary support troops that will kind of replace this for the most part. Divinia comes to mind because it does cleanse all allies. As you can see, this is a troop that you're not going to be really using for damage, even though it does do some damage and it's boosted by all ally mana. But it's a 1-to-1 ratio. There's only so much mana that your team can have. Obviously, it's going to do more damage if you have mythic troops because they take more mana to get powered up. But that being said, it does also here give all other allies 5 mana. One of the important things about it, though, is that it will cleanse all allies when matching yellow gems in its traits. So that really is amazing. If you're finding yourself, Guild Wars or wherever, and you want to just have your entire team constantly cleansed, you can find those yellow gem matches, match it, and you get your whole team cleansed. That could be powerful, but like I said, I don't think it's worth crafting anytime soon as a player just coming into the game. This is a much, much later craft if you don't get it in the keys that you open. Then moving on to Tina-9000 here in the list. Tina-9000 does rank very high in my mythic tier list. It's one of my favorite mythic troops. I do like it a lot. And as you can see, I have spent a couple of medals here to try to get it upgraded. I'm only at bronze, then there's silver, then there's gold. Right now it's just at bronze. But I'm just pointing that out to show you that I'm not just saying this. Like, the only reason I'd spend a medal on a mythic troop to try to upgrade it is if I like it. So Tina-9000 does true damage to 3 random enemies, and then it gains armor, and it's a significant amount of armor. And the true damage can be pretty high too. So for me here, it's a range between 32 and 64. When it does hit that higher end, it is even more amazing. But the other thing that I really like about it is that, you know, there's this thing can chew through barrier because it hits 3 random enemies, which means if there's only 1 enemy left on the team, it's going to hit that 1 enemy 3 different times, which means if there's barrier on that enemy, it's going to take the barrier off the first hit. The next 2 hits are going to go right to the life of that troop. So very good Dawnbringer killer. But it doesn't work that great for high-level delves and high-level explore battles. So that's something to take a note of. This is something that you want to use for guild wars, for PvP, casual and ranked, and also for like mid-tier explore battles. Also, sometimes I use it for events, but it only goes so far because sometimes once you get really high in an event, you know, the enemy has so much life that, you know, there's better troops to use. However, that being said, this is a powerhouse of a troop in PvP with the right mana generators around it. It does also reduce damage from spells by 50%, and then it will also add 50% of its armor to skull damage. Since it's every time you cast it, it's going to be gaining armor, and then it will add 50% of that armor. Let's say, you know, after 1 cast, we're already up there close to 140, 50, and it's going to add 50% of that armor to skull damage. So it has the potential to do a lot of skull damage. Now, the weird thing, or this thing that might seem weird about this troop, is that it seems like you should put it in the top spot, but it doesn't have any mitigation here in its traits for skull damage. And I think the reasoning behind that, why the devs did not do that, is because right here it's going to gain armor. And so the skull damage reduction is really coming from it gaining armor. So every time you cast it, it can absorb, for me, another 64 armor. So that's almost as good as having a trait here that says 50% damage reduction to skulls. It's almost as good as that. So I think it's a pretty good troop, even if you do put it in the top spot. It can die, but the fact that it gains that much armor every time you cast it is fantastic. Now moving on here to last mythic, Mystralis. Mystralis is a newer mythic to the family. And it is pretty good, but it's not amazing by itself. Like, for example, if Mystralis was the last enemy troop on a team and I had Tina-9000 as my troop, there's no contest. Tina-9000 would absolutely destroy Mystralis in that case. Now, it will deal splash damage to 1 to 4 random enemies, which means it does have a chance to do 30 damage here up to 4 times, even to the same enemy, even if 1 is left alive. But it's not true splash damage, it's just splash damage. And splash damage is kind of the mid-range of the splash damage type, because there is a light splash damage, which is less, and there's a heavy splash damage, which is better than just regular splash damage. So splash damage is 50% of the initial damage to the troops above and below. And light is 25%, heavy is 75%. So I would like to see either this be like 2 to 4 random enemies or have this heavy splash damage. And then I would actually like Mystralis much better than I already do. But the fact that it does jumble the board and gain an extra turn has a lot of utility to it. I'll say that, because it also has enchanting all allies on a 4 or 5 match here in its traits, which is very useful because enchant's going to give 2 mana every single turn to all your entire team when they're all enchanted. So that it's a very good like support role troop, but also does have some damage. So it's a decent troop. I would say it's like mid-tier as far as the mythic goes. I wouldn't put it at like, you know, within like a top 10, but it's still decent. So how I'm going to rank these is going to be a little different this week, simply because we have Euryali here. So really, I'm going to say that Tina-9000 and Euryali are going to be tied this week as my #1 picks, because if you do have Scorpius but you don't have Euryali, and you really should be farming metals as much as possible, because those are really going to increase not only the life and the armor and attack and magic of all your troops, but it also gives you the potential to upgrade your troops individually with those metals. So Euryali has a lot of usefulness for farming metals, as if you have Scorpius. If you don't have Scorpius, then my #1 pick is Tina-9000. But so that's how I'm ranking it this week. And then, of course, the runner-ups, I'm going to say Mistralis is the next one that I would say, and then Voice of Orpheus is going to be last. And that's not to say that Voice of Orpheus is just a trash troop, but it's just I don't think that it's as good as Mistralis as far as its usefulness in a team, because the extra turn, jumbling the board, and the enchanting, I think is pretty amazing. But Voice of Orpheus is still good for the cleanse, but we already have Divinia and we have some legendary troops that do that. So anyway, that's my opinion on the troops this week. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you guys real quick here. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but I'm going to show you guys really quick here a couple of teams with these troops that we can craft this week. So first of all, Euryali, this is kind of the standard team that I use to farm my level 12 Explorer battles. I have a Mountain Crusher here, Titan, Sentinel class, Monk class, Plague Lord, any of those classes that use that have the Rock Solid talent at level 40. I do recommend for this, because that'll protect you when you're generating your mana for your troops. Mountain Crusher is almost essential for this team to work as fast as it does. I like to use Apothecary because I can almost guarantee a 4 match, which is what's going to give you the poison effect on your enemy. And then this will do lethal damage to any poisoned enemy. Now you can replace Apothecary with something like Leprechaun. That's also another great way to do it. As far as the banner, I like going the Kraken banner. I like doing double brown and then 1 blue. The blue is for Apothecary and the brown is for Mountain Crusher and Scorpius. So that's pretty much the level 12 Explorer battle team that I'm going to recommend with Euryali in it. But you do need Scorpius. That's very important. So then let's take a look at a couple of Tina-9000 teams here. This one, I think I recommended this team like maybe a year ago or more when Tina-9000 came out. And this uses the Mechanist class. And I have Mountain Crusher at the top. Now you can do this with Titan or something like that, because Mechanist class does not have Rock Solid, so you're going to be a little vulnerable. But the reason why I have the Mechanist class in here is because the mech class gives all mechs 50% starting mana, and Tina-9000 is a mech right here. So that 24 is going to be cut in half to 12. It's going to get powered up really quickly. And then also this is considered a mech. This is going to be another a mana generator within the team. Plus it's also going to give armor to all allies, which is going to help your troops survive. But this is also going to destroy gems of a chosen color. Very useful. That's going to start with half mana too. And then we have Tesla down here, which is going to do true damage based on all ally and enemy armor. And since the Clockwork is going to be giving armor to all allies and Tina-9000 is going to be gaining armor, that's going to boost the damage of Tesla. So this is a really good, like almost like full mech, because Tesla is not considered a mech, it's a human. But it's almost a full mech, like awesome armor-based boosting of damage based on that armor team with Tina-9000 in it. So, and then if this hero class dies, then Tina-9000 should have already cast it a few times. You're going to have a lot of armor, and that armor, 50% of it will be added to skull damage. So, pretty powerful team right here for Tina-9000. Another one that I like to use with Tina is something like this, where we have Mountain Crusher, we have Titan class here, and the Harpy Mage is going to start with 75% mana. You can choose an ally to explode a certain color of those gems, and then it will conjure a dust storm. So that's very important, even though Mountain Crusher is going to be conjuring dust storms too whenever it casts. But Harpy Mage will just keep that brown mana going. And the brown mana is going to go in Tina-9000, which is going to do a lot of true damage. And then I also have the Gray King here, which is also takes brown mana, and it's going to be doing a lot of true damage and mana generation as well. Excuse me. My throat's dry. Talking a lot. Alright, so back to those are two teams that I can recommend for Tina-9000. Really, my concept with Tina is that you want to surround Tina with a lot of troops that generate mana for it very quickly, because it does best when it can cast more often, because one, it's going to do more damage when it casts more often, and it's going to gain more armor the more it casts. So that's my concept with that. Now, I will show here there is one kind of team. This is a pretty common team in PvP these days for this Emerald tier weapon. Will create green gems boosted by enchanted allies. That obviously goes really well with this here, Mystralis, which will enchant allies on 4 or 5 gem matches. And this weapon's also going to create green gems, which is the whole point of Queen Beatrix here. It's going to do true damage to the enemies, but also create some brown and green. Mystralis uses brown, and Queen Beatrix uses green. So those two colors are great there. Leprechaun is just down here, to give you a quick start on that mana. Class doesn't really matter too much. You can choose kind of what you want. I like to go double green on the banner with that. But Mystralis can fit into a lot of other teams too. It can even fit into a team with Tina-9000. But this is just a common team for Mystralis. So, yeah, that's just want to show you guys a couple of teams there real quick that you could use with those troops that you can craft in the Forge this week. So, let's go over to the shop. Let's take a look here at this new troop. And the Arcane Blade Trait Stone is available here for 300 glory. So, if you do need that Arcane Trait Stone, now would be the time to buy some. And I don't even know how to say the name of this new troop. Axolotl. I'm just going to go with that. Axolotl is a merfolk beast. It will create a mixture of 18 blue and green gems and then submerge itself. So that's pretty interesting. Interesting mana generator for only 10 mana cost. Okay, so I mean that's basically what you're going to use it for. 18 is pretty high count. I just wish it was like a single color, but, blue and green combination, that's fine. We might find some use for it. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that. And then let's go. Let's go back here. I'm going to show you the kingdom here. So the event kingdom is Merlantis. So if you're going to use event keys this week, it's going to only give you Merlantis troops. Now, there is one mythic troop in the kingdom of Merlantis that is worth getting, I think. Scroll down here. Merlantis. There we go. And the troop I'm talking about is Aquaticus. This here is definitely, for me at least, probably within my top 15. I mean, it's probably close to the bottom of that 15. But it is still pretty good. It will submerge all allies on a 4 or a more match, which is pretty easy to get if you have a storm going. I like to use this troop a lot with Skady. Unfortunately, Skady is not a Merlantis troop because it would be really good for the raid boss event to have that combination. But what this does is it deals splash damage to 3 random enemies. It explodes half the blue gems on the board. Since it uses blue gems, it generates mana for itself. And as you all know, I love Mythic Troops that generate mana for themselves. I think that's a huge thing. So Merlantis is probably worth trying to get if you have quite a few event keys saved up. Other than that, I can't really recommend too many other troops to go for in the keys on this kingdom. Nimue might be a troop. I mean, it is pretty powerful in some combinations, but that might be a troop that's a little elusive for you as well. Might be something you want to try to get. I would say Aquaticus and Nimue is probably the two that are the best here that you could get. Undine, I just, I've tried to use this in several teams and I just was never really impressed with it. I like Aquaticus much better than Undine. So, that is that. So, let's go to Raid Boss. And the Raid Boss, as I said, is Merlantis. So, you have to use troops from that kingdom. So, it would really be great if you did have Aquaticus. I'm going to go ahead and buy my tiers here to get to the weapon. And I believe this weapon is another mana generator for this. Okay, so it's the mana generator for the kingdom troops. So it doesn't have to be a merfolk if you own this weapon. It just has to be from the kingdom of Merlantis. And it will create a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each Merlantis ally. We might use that in a team for this event, and we might not. We'll see. So I went ahead and bought that. Now, yeah, let's go back here, Raid Boss, and let's fight. I already put together a little team here, I guess. But this week's kind of a little weird because we don't have any, like, fantastic combinations that I see. Even though there is some mana generators, the Sea Witch is a pretty good mana generator, creates blue and brown gems. We just got that new mana generator, wherever it is. Yeah, it wasn't this one, even though this is with the, this is the Raid Boss troop that you get from the event. That's not the one I was thinking of, though. This one right here, the weird name, Oxalotl troop, creates a mixture of 18 blue and green gems. I might actually use that in this team. I was going to use this guy, Mervorx, but, however you say this guy's name. Does some damage and then creates blue gems boosted by submerged allies, but only 6. This guy is going to create a mixture of 18 green and blue, so I might go ahead and just use this guy. Why not? We can try him out, and let's go ahead and do that. He's got Water Link, which is good. That's going to give us a bonus to blue, but actually I should have ascended it first before I did that, because now I'm going to have to reascend it. Or re-level it up. So, yeah, Azura down here is another mana generator. I was going to explode all blue gems on the board, but we don't really need that. Honestly, I would like to have another damage source besides Aquaticus. But there isn't, like, a lot of amazing damage sources. This is skull damage, Nimue. Otherwise, we have some faction troops in here, too. We have the Deep King. This is going to do true splash damage to 2 random enemies. I might actually use that because it does use brown there, which means that, that won't be blocked. So, but we're probably going to end up using this guy here later on for the Raid Boss once we get that far. But, so you can use really any weapon for this Raid Boss event because it's not restricted. Only your troops are restricted, but... yeah, this is basically, what I'm going to probably start with, something like this. Because all of these things are going to get enchanted. We don't need a lot of mana generation because it's an event. And if you do buy in the shop, you're going to get these potions here. I have the Potion of Enchantment, Potion of Explosion, and Rejuvenation. So Explosion and Enchantment, that's going to generate a lot of mana for me initially. And for the first, 10, 15 battles, that's, going to be fine. Because I'll probably destroy the opposing team very quickly until we get at higher health levels of the enemy troops. So that's basically it for what's going on this week. Yeah, not much here really going on. We do have the Tidecaller class, which coming up. There's a class trial for that. It's an okay class, but I wouldn't recommend spending gems on that unless you want to speed yourself to getting every class to level 100. But yeah, there's not much else going on here this week. So that's about it. That's all I got for you guys. I will catch you guys on the next video. Hope you guys enjoy this one. And yeah, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.